last couple of games, or sorry, the first couple of games in the summer split. We'll see what happens with these guys.
All right, so a couple of top lane bans here, focused very early on. Impact has shown a very wide variety of champions up in the top lane.
Yeah.
So he will probably not be affected too heavily. Gragas also taken out in the jungle. Definitely, we've been over it so many times, the top tier junglers right now on Cinderhulk.
Well, the question is actually, as you talk about top tier junglers, Rush as a player is one, but last we saw him in the LCS, his pool was about 2 feet deep. You get like your ankles wet when you're in his champion pool.
Kiddie pool.
Yeah, he was really lackluster on the tanks like Sejuani and Nunu, and he kind of was hesitant to bring out the Lee Sin more than once in a while. So the question is, how has Rush now adapted a few months down the line now in the Cinderhulk game?
Two of my favorite qualities that Rush has is really, really good work ethic, and he's also always theory crafting about the game. So I'm very excited to see what he comes back with, because not only did he spend a lot of time grinding solo queue, which is obviously great for your mechanics, but he spends a lot of time thinking about the game. So we'll see what they come back with after their break.
And as the last few bans come out, these teams are almost just forced to blind pick what they think should be banned here. Apollo's Kalista, Xiaowei Xiao's Kassadin, the Rumble from Impact. Meanwhile, champions you expect to see against Teammate, the Gragas more likely a top lane ban than a jungle, the Maokai away from Calitrolls as well, and Slushy's ever terrifying LeBlanc.
I have a feeling that we will be seeing some long-range mages in the mid lane, Freak, with the Kassadin and LeBlanc both banned.
Yeah. Natural predators of Kog'Maw.
Exactly. Take your pick. Kog'Maw, Azir, Cassiopeia, even Karthus maybe for Xiao Xiao.
Hey man, maybe some Fizz for someone else as well, just to push around people. Early Rek'Sai pick up. Oh wow! What? Who blind picks Fizz?
Westor
and Xiaowei Xiao. Yeah, some people do. You're right about this. Some of the best mid laners in the world do this. But so Rek'Sai once again for Porpoise, one of his best champions throughout the spring split earlier this year. The early Alistar. Again, we are continuing to see this champion rise in popularity here in the summer split professionally. Blind pick Fizz, all right.
All right, so he's going to do it. Now, when you blind pick Fizz, you're looking at a very rough early lane phase and maybe a lot of jungler support. The thing is, you're picking it right into Rek'Sai, who is basically the queen of the early game now.
Yeah.
That it is Cinderhulk. She's she builds into Cinderhulk very easily and still has that very strong level 3 gank package that she can do after just one side of the jungle. So bold move here from Xiaowei Xiao, as we are used to seeing from him nowadays.
Yeah, but the thing is, Impact picked it, so apparently they all trusted him to blind pick the Fizz in the first place. Thresh coming in for Dodo, and the Urgot's going to be left to get locked in for Teammate, and as always, that is going to be a flex pick between Maple Street and Slushy. Teammate has another minute and a half to decide where those champions actually go.
Yeah, so the Thresh and the Alistar both locked in already. I guess if we're going flex, you could still put Fizz in a different lane if you really want to.
Yeah, Impact could play him.
But yeah, the Alistar, really strong front line. I like that now that you can bring that from the support role. His ultimate is, well, it's very good at creating mid-game pressure just because you don't have to rely on building up items. As soon as you hit level 6 there, a lot of presence from Adrian.
I like that Evelynn is becoming popular for Rush's sake. I mean, she's a fun champion to cast, not so fun to play against, so maybe less so for me, but Rush gets an aggro fighter sort of jungler, fits his style exactly. I think it'll go well for him.
Talk about putting pressure on the map. Rush doesn't even have to do anything to actually make the Team 8 lanes play cautiously, especially since this is Rush behind the champion, who you're expecting to come at your face, maybe level 2, pull off some really aggressive early ganks. I feel like this champion just fits Team Impulse really well, and they have a lot of mind games to work around, and it actually opens up a lot of early game moves for them.
Now, speaking of early game moves, the bot lane, Alistar and Sivir definitely have a lot of fight potential. Xiaowei Xiao actually right now has teleport for a summoner as well, so you might see the entire team show up bot lane out of nowhere. Last few picks for Teammate, they're hovering Hecarim. They want Gnar instead, and they're going to say Ziggs against Fizz is going to be just fine. Impulse can still flex pick that Fizz at the end of the day, though.
Yes, can very easily be moved around. I like the Ziggs pickup here. You're going to stand back. You don't have to worry too much about the Evelynn. Ziggs never really has to go past the halfway mark, and even if he does, you can hold on to Satchel Charge. You very rarely need to use that in lane unless you're looking for a kill. So very good all-around safe pick for Slushy, who has really been the point man for this team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Coming into the league, we talked all about Cali Trolls, but really Slushie has been the big carry for this squad.
Definitely agree. And Ziggs, I think, one of the best champions for carrying. He's been overlooked a little bit. It seems the hype is around the Azir, the Cassiopeia, the Victor, but I do like Ziggs a whole lot as a nice, well-rounded mage. And, you know, the side lane wave clear can help a lot as well if the enemy team is prone to split push against you a whole bunch. You mentioned him being safe as well. And it is...
All right, they flex it.
All right. Now the Yasuo gets picked up once again for Xiao. Impact is going to be top lane Fizz, but Fizz into Gnar feels difficult.
All right.
What happens if all the way around, by the way?
Most of these matchups feel difficult. Okay, so if we're talking about flexing, you can still have a top lane Yasuo. All of these matchups really do depend on picking Evelynn as your jungler, because all of these matchups you can play aggressively. You know, these are melee assassins. These are champions that if you can get an early lead, you can run over a lane. Yasuo is one of the best. If you get a lead for him in the longer lane especially, he can chase you down through that long lane using your own minions against you.
Yeah.
The problem is, if he doesn't get the early lead, you know, both Fizz and Yasuo are going to be crying for jungle attention.
That's true. Well, top lane Yasuo it is, and mid Fizz after all, though it is Ignite for Xiao. No double TP here, but bit of knock-up synergy. Fizz ulti, Alistar's basically entire kit going to be there. Team Impulse. A lot of assassins, a lot of playmaking.
Yeah, they're going to have to use this invisibility really well, because Ziggs versus Fizz, if Ziggs starts to get an upper hand and he can start shoving, he never stops shoving. And
it's true.
Fizz will be at his turret, taking damage and also being denied CS.
All right, so looking for Rush to relieve some pressure in these matchups, but now that you've gotten a look at the team comps, let us know who you think is going to go and win this game. Tweet hashtag T8win or hashtag TIPwin to @LOL Esports. Let us know who's going to start their season off with a win here in Game 1. Game 4 of the day. Reggie's excited. I'm excited. Here we go, guys. Game 4, Week 1. It's going to be fun.
Reggie permanently excited for the LCS.
Always.
I love it. All right. So the other thing about Impulse is that I guess we shouldn't really be surprised by their heavy melee comp here. This is a squad that once they get their hands on Sivir, they love running things like this where they can just stampede over you.
We'll see just how much stampeding can happen in this game. Meanwhile, teammate have their work cut out for them. Cali Trolls may be the man making the calls, but Apollo says that Slushie is the one they're going to have to watch out for on this 6.
I'd say if I were to choose a star of their lineup, it would probably be Slushie, just because he's been the more consistent player on their team and always seems to do well regardless of their situation. But Cali Trolls was definitely more noticeable in terms of his shot calling rather than his actual play.
Well, the Cali Troll shot calling up against a bunch of assassins, a bunch of playmaking, and an invisible jungler. So one thing that's going to tax you a little bit as a player, watching the map when you can't even see the entire enemy team.
Well, I feel like a lot of the shot calling for Team 8 should be to try and pull Team Impulse into jungle fights. If you have a corridor, then you can use Ziggs zone control. You can use Gnar, also a great deal of zone control. To try and hamper this fully forward-facing rush-down Impulse team that's just going to try and Zerg you.
Well, we'll see if teammate can pop the creep
early.
All right, invade towards the rebuff. Rush going to be starting solo on this one.
Makes sense.
And in comes Cali Trolls and Dodo. Rush on the way out. Impact is staying. Rush, all right. Smite to kill the camp off. That's what they stayed for. Impact, this is his flash for it. Good invade by teammate.
Yeah, looks like
oh man, Adrian's in a bad spot.
Rush was the one to get the experience for it. Porpoise still has his smite. Jungle invade fairly successful though. I mean, talked about how much of this Impulse squad early game relies on Evelynn. They're trying to get her behind. She's not level 2 and did burn her smite.
Now the big difficulty though is that you have a flashless Yasuo up against a Rek'Sai jungle, and Gnar's no slouch in this either. I feel like Impact's life gonna be hard, but he's already starting out incredibly aggressive. He's level 2 at the start, and Cali Troll's nearly dead.
Oh, let's see how he uses this knock-up as well. Cali Troll gonna give him a lot of room, so probably won't be able to land it. But as you say,
Ha! Sorry.
Impact is the best. He got me.
That's true.
So Porpoise as we mentioned, Rek'Sai's level 3 gank kit. She has everything that she could possibly want for a gank. Now, Rush definitely knows this. However, I don't think he has much of a choice. Second Potion just running out there, so probably going to have to head back to base. And Porpoise could have gone with a move down bottom. I feel like that's a little bit of a missed opportunity. However, since he didn't get the full camp when they invaded, he didn't hit his level 3. So no gap closer means no gank, and Cali-Trolls is just going to have to deal with Impact by taking a beating.
And all that happens, Cali-Trolls pops the shield, and Impact doesn't even take damage in the matchup, but he's pushed in. And Rek'Sai's on the way down, but going through a ward doing so.
Right before